Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of Brownsville Matters. Have with me this morning, very happy to have Edgar Navarro, who's an expert on digital technology, AI, and all sorts of things of that nature. And we're going to learn a good deal this morning about particularly AI and how it is moving the world forward and causing great fear among many people who don't understand what it is and what its capabilities are. So, Edgar, very good to have you this morning. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I hope that this isn't all about fear today. I want people to take the positive. I mean, there is negative. We hear it everywhere, and be able to understand and discern it, and then for themselves, take a moment to learn about it, use it, interact with it. So at least you make your own decision on if it's positive or negative and what you can use it for.
Okay, here we go. I wrote a story and I did a radio broadcast about David
Crockett. That's what I was going to guess.
Jim Bowie.
Okay.
And as I talked about him as an early influencer. And,
really?
Yeah, because I talked about the knife that he created being still popular after 200 years.
Yeah.
And that his legacy as a knife fighter, which went viral in his time, laid the foundation for him being an influencer in getting people to buy his knife, which they still buy, to this day. And so anyway, I just kind of overlaid the current understanding of influencers on him.
Well, so Renee started teaching at UTRGV.
Okay.
And it's video, it's emerging video media. So, because we started teaching, and I go and stuff, and we started teaching AI from last year to these students.
Okay, cool.
And this last semester, we decided.
Is this in the business department?
No, arts department.
In arts?
Yeah, because it's media. So it's design students.
Okay.
And because video is so prominent now.
Yeah.
They want them to.
But is this at Edinburgh or is this here?
Both.
Both.
Today he's zooming into Edinburgh, and then it's like one day Edinburgh, one day here.
Okay.
Both classes are packed now because we're the only. We started teaching AI first in the university. I think there's a couple computer courses now, but the majority aren't. We took characters from history, Brownsville history, and we gave them the assignment to make them influencers. And so we've got Stillman, right? Speaking of how he founded Brownsville, and everything done with AI, all the visuals, and we have an avatar of him, and he's speaking to you, right? We got a digital voice, and I'll show you some after, but it's really cool, and we get the students doing this stuff. One, we're teaching them history without them knowing
they're teaching AI.
Yeah, and they're learning AI.
Yeah.
But I think that's a lot of that, right? We can now bring these people back to influence us now.
Yes.
Of this stuff, So especially us that like this kind of stuff. I think it's really cool. It's a really cool way and use of AI, I think.
It is a brave new world.
It is a very brave new world, yeah.
I think of years ago I used to teach, well, I still teach it from time to time, but not as often. It was a course in Great American Oratory, where we looked at the great speakers in American history and speeches that changed the destiny of the country or the world. And one of the things challenging about that, say 30 years ago, was about the best you could do was to either read the text to them, or you might be able to find with fairly contemporary speeches, fairly modern, from let's say 1950 forward, you might find a scratchy recording, a phonograph or something like that, and so you could play a little bit of it for them. But in this age, thanks to YouTube and other such media, a lot of the things that you thought were unavailable or lost are there. And it may not be there with video, but it's there with, it may not be there with audio, but they might have an old motion picture of the event of 1910 or something, right? So the multimedia of today gives you an ability to enliven the history of that time.
You want me to get crazy?
Go crazy.
All right. So in Austin right now, they've already opened a high school that just uses AI to teach. And the way they're doing it is exactly how you just explained. Abraham Lincoln teaches you about the Civil War,
Yeah.
right? And so they charge $40,000 a year, and it's packed.
Wow.
And it just started, right? AI just started. And now it's the first test that I know of. I don't know if there's others in the country like this. I looked at the website. We want to go visit the school. But they're already trying to sell franchises or subsidiaries. But it's going to be the first test of that, right? So as you know, you have a lot of pushback from education. I see it. I talk to a lot of professors. I think it's mostly because they don't know what all the negative stuff filters in first.
All new technology always
Scary.
is scary and threatening because it threatens jobs.
Yes.
And then my motto at the university for the past 30 years has been adapt or die.
That's it.
You've got to adapt or die because it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming at you like a dark horse, and it's going to happen. So you're either going to go with the revolution or you're going to be left behind, right?
Well, yeah, and trying to stop it is only hurting the kids, right? Because they're going to use it in their life now. There's no way they get out and they never used it. I mean, college is where you experiment and try to learn all these tools of life, right? At least that's what it was for me. And so
my question would be,
Yeah.
if you have Abraham Lincoln
Yes.
teaching AI, who decides the content that Abraham Lincoln will teach?
Correct. So right now the way I've done it, I have a high school intern, and because he doesn't know, right, what this person said, right, he has no
He
context
doesn't know
of
anything about it.
right? AI decides,
Yeah.
and then what's the prevalent thing? It's prompting. I'm sure you've heard prompting, right?
Yep,
Prompting
yep,
is
yes.
the instructions, right?
Sure.
So the way I explain it a lot is you have to be really good at prompting. It's garbage in, garbage out, like it was from the beginning, right? In computers, right? If you're going to put garbage prompt in and ask it stupid questions, it's going to give you stupid answers. But if you become, like I usually now prompt, like I will write paragraphs of instructions, like do it like this, and I want to know this, and what to get a very specific. And that's what we're teaching the kids, right? It's like, yeah, we can extract the information of Abraham Lincoln, but in order to get the real great information that could really help students learn, you need AI. The beautiful thing about AI, I think, for us as humans, is that we don't have the capacity in our brains to analyze that much information so fast. And now you have a tool that if I really needed that, right? Like I think analytics is going to change. This type of information, like what Abraham, like, because it's able to draw not only our context of what Abraham Lincoln was, it probably draws the global context of what a character like Abraham Lincoln was.
But I'll give you this example. I played with AI in relation to Texas history, which I have some expertise for.
ChatGPT.
Right?
Yes.
And I've tried to let it develop some themes and some essays, and it's wrong.
Yes. A lot of times.
It's often wrong. So
They call it hallucinations.
So how do you deal with that
Yes.
if you don't have the expertise to know it's wrong?
Yes.
If you're just a student and you're saying, okay, well, that sounds pretty cool. I'm going to go with that. And it's wrong. So you need someone with the expertise to know that the information is poor.
Yes. There's a couple of ways that I see that. Okay. One is the prompting that I explained, right? The prompting has to be very thorough. The other thing is, what version of AI are you using? Right? Are you using ChatGPT? And that's the one I'm most familiar with in a large language model. And are you using ChatGPT, the paid version, which is 4, right? And there's a big difference, right? The 4 will not make up stuff like the 3. The 4, you can actually tell it, go research this and go look at this and go, like, you can actually give it the links that you want to base. So you could give it textbooks, and you could give it 100 textbooks about Abraham Lincoln to go look at. It will take 2 minutes to read them and then give you now an answer based on those textbooks, which makes it way more accurate. There could still be, they call them hallucinations, which are the wrong answers, right? So I don't know how much you know about how it works or the concept is. So the concept of a large language model, that's what ChatGPT is, right? There's a lot of other AI usage and all stuff, but the large language models, from what I understand, is it gathers all that information I told you about, those textbooks, and then it just makes a prediction per letter, not per word. What's the next letter that should go here based on everything that I know, right? And that's how it's doing. It's doing it letter by letter. So that whole writing, which is what's the incredible part, right? That whole writing is done letter by letter, not word by word. And then the other thing is that we're at a very early stage, right? And this thing is learning daily. So those hallucinations are going to start going away as the years go by, because it learns that someone like you, that's an expert, says that's not it, right? And you, when you give it feedback, I tell it all the time, that's not correct, or this is not the information. So once you start feeding that back, it starts understanding that it's not doing it correctly, and it learns immediately, right? And you're talking about all the world feeding this data daily to this thing, and that's how it's learning. So the rapid learning and the rapid advancement of this is what I think is revolutionary. You know.
So what happens to creative works produced by human beings?
Yeah.
Do we lose?
That's my job.
Do we
right?
lose novels?
That's.
Does AI write all the novels and we have no human touch to them anymore?
That's a thing I grapple with all the time. That's what I do, right? I'm a photographer, right? And I see what it's doing in photography, right?
Yeah.
Writing is the same, right? So
I think one of the things that's surprising now is on the net, you often see photographs that are blow your mind beautiful, and then you find out AI did that.
Correct.
It's not a real photograph.
Correct.
Or it's I had one that I posted on my page that it was called a snow sculpture. And I thought, wow, this guy did this incredible sculpture out of snow. And then someone wrote to me, that's AI, that's not real. So, yeah, you kind of go back to the way people used to complain about Playboy centerfolds.
Yes.
It's not real. You know, nobody looks that good.
No, it's true, and it's also very problematic, right? Because I can use your face to do malicious things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and you can put me anywhere with anybody.
Anywhere with
saying
anybody.
anything.
Yes, and it happens
in
already.
my voice.
It's happened already, and what's very scary is we're going into the first election where you'll be able to use
it's going to be
right?
incredible.
So, but on the creative side, right? The question about the creative side, I'm going through that, right? It's like, how is this going to affect my life? And what I do see is like, I use professional cameras. I have a very big foundation. I've been doing this for 15 years of fundamentals, right?
Okay.
And basics of photography that I have to implement every time to get the really good results, right? So now how am I going to compete with AI? When AI knows every photography style, every setting, every way to frame this photo, and could probably shoot a bunch of photos at the same time and capture that moment that I even miss because I'm just one person. I think that is the future of photography, maybe. So that takes me out. So how does human... Exactly.
How are you going to grade photography students?
Correct.
How are you going to know that that's their work? Or are you grading their ability to manage AI?
That's one thing that we're teaching right now to them is like, this does not replace the fundamentals. If you don't know the fundamentals, then how? And that's where I think there's an offset. Okay, I can tell, but if you don't know photography, you're not going to be able to tell. Like a picture, right? Like, is it properly framed? Is it correctly done? And again, it's garbage in, garbage out, right? If you don't know the fundamentals, I can tell ChatGPT, I want you to use this lens at this aperture, using this ISO to create the image that you're going to create for me, right? And it becomes very technical. Where I think that the human comes in is, at least right now, for the next 10 years, 15 years, is we become more of the creative, like what we want to create, right? What we want to create for humanity, right? When I'm going out, I shoot a lot of weddings and that kind of thing. I'm looking for moments, right? So at that point, but if you're a photographer that's looking for landscapes or looking for these other things, it's like, okay, what would make an impact, especially in a content-filled world with AI images, right? How am I going to stand out now, right? That's where I think the human will have influence over the AI, at least for 15 years. But then I really
But then
don't think
AI will learn the fundamentals.
Oh, definitely. It's learning them now.
And we may go backwards in a way. You remember when, we have two things. You have the advance of color photography and digital photography. And then after a while, people said, you know what? It's the old black and white that's really cool.
Yes.
And so they kind of go backwards.
When I started photography, it was like film, right? Oh,
yeah.
There's these guys that just use film. And they charge a lot of money because they just use film. And I was using digital, but film died no matter what because you can't compete. So yes, I agree that people are going to buy that nostalgia.
And same thing with audio.
Correct.
You'll go back to vinyl.
Correct. Yes.
Say, I like that scratchy sound.
People are always going to buy nostalgia. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
that's right.
Can you recreate nostalgia with AI?
Sure.
That's the other.
You can do that too.
It's crazy. And we're talking about creative, but it's every single industry.
The fear that everybody has is that AI is going to cost millions of jobs because AI can do what people cannot, and it can do it faster, and it can do it at night when everybody's asleep.
It definitely is. It's a brave new world.
So what happens to that part of the economy where people are pushed out? I mean, that's the fear professors have, is that for a long time now, professors have been insulated from this movement, and now AI could develop the content and the syllabus and teach the course.
I'll tell you the positive outlook on it. There's a negative outlook, like the one you're just painting. The positive outlook that I see that's being discussed, not that it will happen, but it's being discussed, right? If you remember the election, the presidential election of last time, right? It was Andrew Yang talking about everybody gets income, right? A monthly income, stipend, or whatever you want to call it, right? So the way I've heard it discussed in the AI realm of how, because now it's coming for sure.
Universal income.
Universal income,
call it,
correct.
Right?
That's what they call it. So now for sure, I think it's coming. And what I've heard discussed is that there will be taxes on robots because robots are coming. What we're creating really is not these tools that we're looking at. What we're creating is robot brains, right? That's what we're doing. And
Neuralink.
Forget even Neuralink, Tesla. Yeah. Tesla, every time Elon Musk does a Tesla presentation for his shareholders, he now says the cars are not the most important thing. The robots are the most important thing, right? And that's manufacturing now, right? Like not like manufacturing like we've done cars before that you can see in all the videos. Now it's everything is robots, right? Same with Amazon. I think corporations and they're going to implement the most efficient, cheapest way to do anything. Right. To get their shareholders that money. So the only way that we can survive, right? Especially if you're an employee of these types of services or a professor or whatever it is they're going to give us an income. And this is your starter base. And now go do this is how they phrase it, right? It's not going to be that like clean, but go do what you're passionate about, right? Because you already have a base of covering your rent, covering your food. And now I think that's more likely in America. What I'm more concerned about, what happens in the world, right? What happens globally? Because not everybody has the capacity that America has to be able to do kind of that.
And it'll be a hard sell in America because,
of course,
we've got the old work ethic.
Of course.
You're not doing anything, so why are we going to give you anything?
Right. It's like that now. I see it displayed everywhere, right? Like it's going to even replace football players. Right, because a robot could probably play football way nicer and better than they can. Hit harder, make crazy things happen. It's in sports, it's in medicine, it's in education, it's in every single thing. Now, how close are we to that? That's and I don't have an answer to that because it's learning really quick. It's way quicker than you can imagine.
Well, I don't want to live in a world where robots play the Super Bowl.
Yeah, of course.
I want people playing the Super Bowl.
But we are the elders now, right? They're not. This isn't catered to us. They don't care about us anymore, right? They're like we're on our way out. It's the kids, right? And how are they going to live? And how are they going to see? Like I never envisioned this. Like in my lifetime, I might see it, but I'm going to be like old and like. Almost gone. The kids that are growing in elementary school right now, their world is going to be crazy. crazy. And I think that that's where I see all this going. It's not really for me now. I think what we can do as a professor that you are, and maybe me like a production is like inform people, right? Get the most information that we can out to these kids. And to Brownsville is a very young demographic, right? One of the youngest demographics in the country.
Yes.
So that's kind of what I've been trying to do, right? It's like, how do I tell the most people possible? That's why when Gabriel told me, can you come here? I was like, yeah, I need as many people in our community to listen to this. I've already given courses to the Metis Cultural District, all the foundations in there, right? How you can use this stuff. Because I do think what you said, right? You adapt or die. And our community in Brownsville, as you're well aware, we're probably like so far behind technology, right? We're so far in so many things, right? Health as well. AI could be that bridge if we adapt or adopt it early, right? And so that's right now.
Well, aren't we right now in the process in Brownsville of upgrading internet access for everybody?
Yes.
Is there a big grant or?
There is a big grant. There is. It's been taken very bad by Spectrum and AT&T and all these companies because yes, we would have a community owned. Now, how that, and I don't want to get political, but how that evolves in Brownsville, knowing all the institutions that we have and how they run, I don't know, right? I don't know how they've decided that's going to be administered. So is that going to be run by Brownsville? Or is that going to be run by a third-party company that subsidizes us somehow because they're talking about cheaper services? But yes, connectivity, access to connectivity will enhance everybody in the community, I think. There's a lot of kids that don't even have internet to do homework.
I tell you, one adaptation I've made because of AI is that more and more with exams or papers that you used to have people do, and I can't trust that it's theirs.
Yes.
So I've gone way back to where I have oral exams.
Okay.
I have students come.
That's actually awesome.
And I do 40 minutes one-on-one.
That's awesome.
And you cannot BS your way through that.
Yes.
You know it or you don't know it. Certainly there are gray areas, but I can probe and find out their weaknesses and their strengths. It's a true diagnostic in real time. And it's much more comprehensive.
Yes.
Than I can get from exams that I can't trust. In fact, a lot of exams now, because so many classes are online, that they give the exam online and then students take it at home.
Right.
And so you don't know. No. I know they have browser lockdown and stuff, but students are texting each other between. Of
course, or you could have a phone on the side.
There's all kinds of ways to use tech to cheat.
Yes.
And so to cut that out, I've gone backwards to an old method of.
I really like that method. Mm-hmm. I really like not only because, like you said, it's harder to BS, but it also teaches them how to speak and how to do these types of I think one thing that's lacking right now in the university, and one thing it is just crazy, but so I have a friend in Dubai that came to Brownsville in December, right. And he's a programmer, and he's got like a huge programming farm, programmers in India, right? And the AI we're trying to work on is a student assist. We call it a student assist, but it's like a mentor, right? And when we were discussing this of how that would work, right, for some kid to have an app or something that would just follow him to classes, follow him everywhere, take notes, keep him on schedule. But then also there's a social aspect in universities, and I think even in high schools, that are developing, right, socially, because everybody's on social media and everybody's on their phones and everybody's on tech, rather than this one-on-one, we're losing a lot of that. Yes. So oral tests are a great way. I remember when I had to do speech, remember there was a speech course or whatever. That was my favorite class because I would talk in front of everybody and do this stuff. And I don't know why it's not forced upon students now. Like, hey, you have to interact with other people.
It used to be a required course of everybody in college, but now, in fact, you can even take in some university, you can take a public speaking class where you don't do any public speaking.
Yes. Yes.
All you do is look at It's kind of like music appreciation, except it's public speaking appreciation, where you look at great speakers, but you don't really do any of your own.
Correct.
But it used to be a standard. Everybody had to take a basic speech course where they delivered 4 or 5 speeches during the course.
And I think it's going to be so important that people do what you're doing, because I'll take it back to AI. So now we're working with avatars, right? So we just recorded our avatars a couple weeks ago, and we've already developed. So this is what an avatar does, okay? So I have a photo studio in my house, and I brought them in. We recorded about 2 minutes, right? The way you record this is you do mannerisms. It's only recording this, but you do mannerisms, right? And it's understanding your voice. So what happens now is I can just type, and this thing that looks like me will sound like me and speak to you, right, in content.
So you can make an avatar of me.
Definitely.
So I don't have to even come in here anymore.
Correct. And
but can it think my thoughts for me?
Not yet, but that's coming. Oh, that's coming for sure. Privacy is gone. I don't see a future for these kids like ours. And I'm still of the era, kind of like you, that grew up without a phone, right? I got a phone like after college, I think, right? That's when real phones came out. I think when I was a freshman in college, we had DOS, right?
DOS.
We had DOS. So
the dog system.
The dog system. But that, I think, is coming. And the thing is, with avatars, that means that now you don't even have to develop communication skills, right? It's really cool. And I could show you me speaking fluent Japanese right now.
It's the same thing that kids do on TikTok when they make their videos.
Correct.
They don't have to do the voice. They can get the voice professional sounding voices and plug in. Just type what it needs to say and it'll sound great.
Yes. But what does that do to you socially? That's my concern on that.
Well, actually, I'm more worried about what it does to my voiceover work.
Yeah.
Because I make pretty good money doing voiceovers. And
yes.
So if AI can do a great version of me.
I can definitely tell you now that I can steal your voice.
Oh, I know.
Not that I would, not that I would.
I know.
But I can definitely steal your voice.
But do I have any copyright ability, if you are...
I think currently not. I think this is being discussed right now.
Yeah.
And the courts, this is the next phase is courts.
If you have a very distinctive voice like Sam Elliott, let's say.
Yes.
And then they create an AI version of Sam Elliott. Can he sue them for infringement of his unique voice that they've copied?
I can do
But they would
content.
I guess he would have to prove that they copied it.
I can do content probably with Samuel L. Jackson. With all of these voices already exist in AI. They're already being done. It's not like a thing that maybe it's going to happen. It's already being done.
But the question is it an infringement?
Correct. The copyright issue is coming, right? Yeah. The first copyright issue that became big is when all these image developing apps and softwares came out. How are they making those, right? What's the influence, right? And so if they took all the information from the internet, right, and the web, that means they took a lot of copyrighted material to develop this one unique thing that's not what it saw, but it's influenced by, right?
Right.
Which could have copyright infringement things. So that's what the cases are going to be, I think, next year, right? They're already sued. The lawsuits are already placed.
Right.
Now the cases are going to come up in front of the court.
It's going to be very interesting.
It's going to be very interesting. Not only that, is that OpenAI, which is the owner of ChatGPT, Google, I think as well, have already announced that if there's any liability on the content that you created personally using these AIs, they'll cover that for you. They're like insuring you.
Wow.
Go ahead and create whatever you want. Because I think...
Well, that's the opposite of what they've done in the past.
Yes. And that's already been announced.
So it's on you as the creator.
Correct.
Not on us on the platform.
But we don't have control over the creation, right? We just have control over the prompt. What the image that you get back, you didn't do anything, right? It looked at everything. So what did it look at, right? And is there copyright material in what it looked at?
Well, just this morning, one of the big content producers, music producers.
Oh, I saw that. Yes.
Pulled from TikTok.
Yes,
they
correct.
said, you're not doing a good job of monetizing our content.
I checked it this morning. I checked several of my videos, and several have gone muted.
Have they?
Oh yeah, I already saw it. Yeah, because we do a lot on TikTok.
That's kind of incredible that they are able to do that so fast, to pull that.
Yes. But I think it's kind of like what you guys do. No, it's kind of like a library that they pull from.
Right.
And I think that would be similar, and then you just shut that off. Something like that. But yeah, I do think that communication is going to be so important on the positive side of communication, which is one of the things that fascinates me. So I think I've showed Gabriel, but there's a video of me speaking Japanese fluently, right? It's my face, my lips are moving.
We were just looking at that, Gabriel, weren't we? Yeah.
Oh,
we were
of me?
at,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. People have come up to me, like around town. It's like, when did you learn how to speak Japanese? That's how convincing this
Last
thing
week.
is. Yeah. That's how convincing this thing is.
Learned last week.
But what fascinates me about that, and what I'm saying in the video, that I never posted the English video. This was I was in San Antonio. I was like, I need to get this out, right? Is AI going to change the way we communicate? Because I do see that all our communication globally is filtered, right? You see here in the United States what media, news companies want you to see, or what politicians want to tell you, right? But we're not really talking to the people that are already going through these things, right? We're not talking to the Ukrainians and their families, right? But if I can in real time have a conversation with you, and you speak Japanese and I speak English, and when I'm talking to you, you're listening to Japanese and you're seeing me speak Japanese, and I'm listening in English, that changes that completely. And how does that globally affect politics,
journalism,
and our
travel.
Understanding of how the world really is? Because when they tell you about third world, they just tell you what they want you to hear, right? You could, how do we affect them? How do they affect us? All of these things, I think, are going to now collide.
So it democratizes information.
That's what I think. And that's what I'm excited about, right? There's a lot of negatives, but there's a lot of cool positives too, that are coming. And I wanted to stay on the positive side, Dr. Strong, because the negative side is really bad. Yeah.
Well, I'm also kind of sad that a lot of the language programs make it to where a person doesn't have to really learn another language.
Correct.
Which is sad.
Yes.
But I've also heard this interesting statement that in 100 years there will be one language.
I definitely see that.
And it will be English.
I don't know that part, but I definitely see it could even be a kind of new language.
Well, English is already the international language of business and other things. It's the number one language.
But could
by
AI
everybody.
figure out a way that everybody could speak something that's not English or not any language that exists,
but
that everybody could learn really quickly?
Perhaps, they have tried to create universal languages before, but the reason English has become the international language is it's easy.
And business.
It's easy
and
to learn.
I would also say business, right?
Yeah,
you want to do business here. Everybody wants to do business here.
Sure.
Because we have a lot of money.
It's the language everybody needs to learn to do business internationally. But beyond that, it's a relatively easy language.
Well,
Russian is very, very difficult. Mandarin
Spanish,
is very, very difficult.
Spanish is more difficult than English. Yeah.
Yes, and so that's one of the reasons it's so appealing is that if you want to speak formally the future tense of Spanish, you need 26 different conjugations for every verb. And in English you just need will. I will, you will, he will, she will.
Yes, the context, I think, in every language is very complicated compared to ours. Yeah. But I do think...
But AI is going to make it to where that is not necessary. Yes. Oh, I'm away from the mic. Okay.
But people, I think that that the language is going to help us communicate better. That's the way they see. And then when we talk about languages, I just saw yesterday that AI figured out a new font that can make you read faster. That's kind of similar, right? It's going to figure out a way for us to communicate faster, to be able to understand. Neuralink, which you started with, that I wanted to dive back in later, just announced yesterday their first product. It's telepathy, right? And that's one thing that you already touched on. And so I've heard Elon Musk talk about this before. And so the idea is that I will be able to, if we both have it in our brain, this chip or whatever it is that they're installing in your brain, I would be able to just communicate with you without speaking.
Oh, this will ruin a lot of marriages.
A lot of things.
Everybody know what everybody's thinking. That'll be terrible.
A lot of business negotiations. A lot of like everything you can imagine.
Would you like an implant in your brain?
Yes, and that's no. If you're asking me,
yeah,
no.
I'm asking you.
No.
Would you like a Neuralink implant that allows you to be on the net all the time in your mind?
Renee's gonna have surgery in the next week on you know how they fix your eyes now and stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even want that to happen to me. So there's no way I'm letting somebody open my brain. And if there's a way to do it externally where I don't have to like have surgery in my brain, then I would consider it.
I already find people walking around with Bluetooth annoying. You know,
Correct.
Can you imagine this person who has telepathy and
Yeah, but I don't think they could read your mind unless you have it as well.
also.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
and then you could turn it off.
the problem, like I said before, this isn't for you or for me.
No, I know.
This is for the kids, right? And they're getting trained from the beginning.
And really, the Neuralink is more about, at least to date, that sort of technology is more about helping the disabled to walk and helping people who have paralysis to
That's being tested now with humans.
They do some great things.
Yes.
They already have it. They've already been able to make people
I don't know
walk.
how many humans have it in their brain, but there are humans now that have it in their brain.
Because Neuralink is actually behind two or three other companies
That I was not aware of, yeah.
in relation to this
that
sort
type of technology.
of outcome. And
Wow.
helping people who have spinal injuries.
Yeah, I think that's
to
super
walk
exciting.
again.
Or can't see,
Very exciting.
right?
Yeah.
You can't see,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you can see. I think that's one of the exciting things about it, right? Also, the research that you can do now in the medical field, because, like I said, one doctor can't know everything, but if you get all the doctors' brains.
One of the things that's troubling about aging is that all of your communication biology shuts down.
Yes.
You can't hear as well, you can't see as well, you can't smell as well. And so a lot of your interaction with other human beings is cut off.
Yes.
That's why a lot of older people sit in the corner, don't talk because they can't hear.
Yeah.
And then people can't hear them well, and they yell at them, and they feel everybody's angry. And so they get cut off from the world. But if you can keep through technology their hearing good and their eyesight good, you extend the quality of life a great deal. And that's another, and then the will to live.
Correct.
You know, a lot of people don't want to live because they get cut off.
They can't do anything anymore. Yeah,
What's the point?
It's like you're alienated.
So some of this advancement is going to be exciting for people. Even the AI, because people have already made friends with Alexa. Alexa's now their friend. They're alone, but they talk to Alexa.
There's already
so there's all of that.
There's
going
AI
on.
girlfriends already available, and they are thriving.
And do they yell at you for not calling
I
back?
have no idea.
You didn't call me back.
I'm married, so I don't think I'm even allowed to have a girlfriend, even if it's artificial. But I do think that what they're saying is, could that help with depression? Could that help with alienation?
Yeah.
And that also helps you live longer, right? Because that's also affecting your longevity. And the other thing, Renee told me this yesterday, was that they've already declared that we're the last generation, unfortunately, to live this short of a lifespan, right? The lifespans of these kids will probably be 150 or more. And like you just explained, with much better quality of life.
That's really the key,
than we
isn't
can,
it?
yeah, that we can see now.
Yeah.
So
But you're going to need universal income because
you're definitely going to need universal income.
How are people going to live that long?
That's
without
what I
support?
don't understand. And then I have Elon Musk saying over and over that we need more people. And I'm like, I don't understand that. If we're not going to be able to do anything, why do we need more people, right? What are we going to do with all these people? How are we going to support all these people, right?
And then I think of the movie Wall-E.
Yes.
You know, where you have
That's exactly it.
have all these people that
Just sitting
nothing
there.
to do, just getting fatter and fatter.
Yeah. So that's where I don't know. That's going to be very strange, of even just getting universal income, because if you're lazy, and a lot of us are, right? How much are you going to get up and do stuff when you don't have to do anything?
Well, you have the opposite. I mean, some people are free to pursue their passions and become great artists and write books and all that. But then you got another group that just says, I love beer.
Right. You see them now, right?
so-
You see that now.
So they just lay back and drink beer, smoke pot, and enjoy their life at that level,
Yes.
but they're not productive.
But now,
in
is
the way that
AI,
we think of productivity.
would AI create new ways of becoming productive, right, as well? Because AI is going to also think, I would think, right, eventually when it learns, and they call it, like, eventually it's going to be sentient or generative, right? They keep saying that. I had a conversation before all this happened with a girl from Houston that has a master's in AI. And I asked her then, before all ChatGPT and all come out, I was like, how long do you think that would take? And she goes, oh, we're very far. It was like 100 years. She said, yeah, I don't think that now. I don't think she probably thinks that now. But I was like, that made me way more comfortable. I was like, oh, that's good. I'm not even going to see it, right? That's good. Now I see it like way quicker. And now I think if the AI is benevolent and positive and wants to help humanity, it probably has to create these things of how we become productive and maybe in ways to just make you feel productive because it knows that's healthy for you. And it makes you feel like it always, right? If you do a good job on something and spend a lot of time on your book and you're very proud of that, right? Because it's an accomplishment. So that obviously helps your brain and helps you become the person you end up becoming because you have these victories. And we have a lot of defeats as humans, right? That we're always failing. And we don't talk about those as much as like, we got a book, right? But you probably took forever and you probably like failed at some of it.
But the arc of human civilization is upwards.
Correct.
I think when it's progress.
Yes.
And people are collectively better as if you look at as human beings globally over the great arc of civilization, we've moved from barbarity to greater and greater civil behavior. There are bad people in the world. We have rogue nations and stuff, but on the whole, we have moved upward to a more humane existence across the board.
Yes.
So I see that goodness is winning.
Yes, goodness is winning.
And it's hard to see it sometimes because, the news focuses on the bad.
That's the filter, right, that you see.
But goodness is winning on the whole.
Yeah, they sell, bad sells more
sells,
clicks,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
It's more views, more clicks, more everything.
Revenge sells a lot better than forgiveness. So
yes.
that's the problem.
But I have heard this theory, which is crazy, is that we are now morphing into a combination of AI and human, right? And that's eventually going to be what happens. That you're going to put a chip in your brain, right? And then maybe use even other things, right? Become giants.
Yeah. I don't want to put a chip in my brain, but people will.
Exactly.
And then when those people are more successful than others will follow. Yes. And when it proves to be.
And then could I make you stronger?
Yeah.
Right. And then can I make you lift like super big? Like could I make you everything that you want to be, but you're not really a human anymore. You're a combination.
So the bionic man becomes
real.
Yeah.
It'll happen. And I think it will happen. Yeah. Definitely.
If that technology can be fused into biology, yes.
So there's your football player.
See that happening. Yeah.
So there's your football player not being a robot, right?
Well, I've always thought that because they have these rules against or laws against steroids in the Olympics, et cetera, why not just have two Olympics, have the steroidal Olympics?
Right.
So you see what's possible.
Yes. I've always thought that as well.
And you understand, this is the juiced Olympics.
Yes. Yeah, that's definitely what I think we'll see in the future. I mean, I don't know if we'll see it, but I think in the future, yeah, it's like what can human and computer accomplish together, right?
Well, Edgar, we're out of time, but I appreciate you coming in and giving us all this all these words of wisdoms and some degree of depression. No,
but I really appreciate it. I have made it a mission of mine to get this word out to the community because I do think at least they should see it, right? So having these opportunities, I'm really grateful for, and thank you for having me. And if you ever want to get depressed again, just call me again. I'll come back.
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for watching this BSPA video. Go ahead and hit like and subscribe if you like what you see. And if you really like what you see, go ahead and go to our website, brosoperformingarts.org, and smash the donate button. And then we'll really like you too.